Today is Monday, October 12th, 2020. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. So let's start off with our release statuses, starting with 119. I think we mostly just have some docs updates and also doing some patch releases to add this process start time metric. I believe there was a problem with the distrolist base image that broke multi-arch builds. We tried to work around that. It looks like that workaround is not working, so I will try to investigate some different workarounds that we can do in the meantime.
Is it still not working? I thought we
guess.
are ready to cut release, right? I already cut that for snapshot.
Yeah, so apparently, it fixed AMD64 images, but it looks like now ARM images are broken.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so we might have to find some other workaround and do another patch potentially to fix the ARM images. I guess we don't. Do we actually build ARM images? I need to check. Anyway, yeah, that's something I'll try to look at today.
Okay.
We build ARM images. That's enabled. So at this point, I've seen the bug report, and it's not clear to me what binary can't be executed, because we should only be running a single binary inside those images, and that's the Go binary, and that should be ARM64. And it's not clear to me why it's broken.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna follow up and double check that we actually check the build logs to double check that there actually are ARM images. So yeah, I think right now the build log doesn't say anything useful.
You can look in GCR, the Google Cloud Platform. If you look at, and I'm doing that right now, if you look at one of the images, it shows the manifest. You can add
for ARM,
and there is an entry in the manifest file for ARM. For the
maybe it builds okay, but it actually doesn't run okay. Maybe I'm not sure.
Perhaps that might. But I don't think we'd use the libc on the platform. I'm fairly sure that we are building binaries as standalone with static linking. So yeah, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
If it's looking for glibc, that's because you have SIGO enabled. And
we shouldn't have that enabled.
But there's some things that need SIGO.
Yeah, but not in the external provisioner.
Interesting.
For example.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we'll have to follow up with the reporter to see exactly what is failing, but at least it looks like from a building perspective, we're able to successfully build the images. Okay. All right, thank you for the update there. And then we're in the middle of updating kind, is that right?
Yeah, I started. You've seen the PR. At this point, I've seen your comment about moving more of a configuration out of a pro job, out of a pro script into the job definitions. Personally, I don't like that approach because it makes our interface between the job and the repositories much broader. Right now, the API is basically in the job description. We just say we want to run tests on Kubernetes. And the project then needs to know what that means and how to do that. And with what you're proposing, we now have very tight interweaving and correlation between the job definition, which has some parameters for the project, and the project needs exactly those parameters. I'm worried that at some point this whole thing will break because one piece doesn't match the other. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. It's just, every time we add a new Kubernetes version, it's really painful to have to like update everything.
But the question then is, why is it painful? Can we address that pain and make it less painful? As far as I can tell, the process is you add a job definition, you don't make it mandatory, you add the necessary configuration to the PRAO.sh file in CSI release tools. You try that out. You can even try it out locally without the job definition. Then you roll out that change from CSI release tools into the different projects, and that's mostly automatic. It's just the problem that currently someone has to run this one script that we've been debating. I've been doing that for a while. It's not too hard. When we have multiple PRs, of course, that need to be accepted into the different projects, but that's mostly just clicking through buttons and LGDM these PRs, and then we are done. Or am I missing something?
Yeah, I don't know. At least for me, like, I've been adding new Kubernetes versions to every release, and it's taken me at least 2 weeks to be able to add them all. So, like,
But why
it
does it
should
take
be.
why does it
I'm
take
not
so long?
sure. There's a lot of different, I have to send like 20 different PRs out to update things. So it definitely takes
Okay.
some time.
Yeah, perhaps I need to do the process for 120 to see what exactly is taking time, but perhaps it is because we need a new kind or something. I don't know. It shouldn't be that hard, I guess.
I mean, like if we take this example right now, it's been more than a month since we started adding 119 CI jobs, and we're still trying to fix issues with it.
Okay. Well, I've not paid too close attention to what actually was breaking, so I can't really say for sure. But well, my
But
goal
anyway,
yeah, my goal for the kind job now is to well keep the current approach so that we don't need to touch the job configs, and perhaps for 120 I'll try to do it myself and see where it's getting stuck and where we can ease the pain.
yeah, I think improving the process so that anyone could just like follow instructions and just do it, I think would be a great goal to achieve.
Yeah. And that could go into CSI release tools.
Yes.
Yeah. So while we are at it, I tried the squash method. You might have seen it on Slack. We've been discussing how to import CSI release tools into the different projects. And the squash method theoretically has the advantage that you only have one commit showing up in the different projects, and the release notes tools not getting confused, ownership permissions, not ownership tools, and authorship tools not getting confused. So it does have some theoretic advantages. In practice, it keeps breaking because squash results in a merge conflict. That's what broke it the last time I tried that. I've now added to my helper script some automatic conflict resolution, and using that, I've created PRs that update all the different projects with a commit that is a squashed combination of the different changes in the CSI release tools. So that's what's currently pending. If you are a project maintainer, that's the PR that is open. How much it changes in CSI release tools depends on how up to date the project was before. If you look at the actual diff, you will see mostly documentation changes, I think, in some projects. So it's not such a big change as it might look like from the PR description, because one of the other downsides that I found with the new method is that the Git submodule tool isn't able to determine properly what already had been imported before. So it lists all of the commits from CSI release tools. My hope is that this will get better if we stick with the squash method, that perhaps the next time it will only list the new commits. I think it did that at some point when I was trying it, but it just didn't work when it gets these merge conflicts.
Okay, sounds good. I think you know, once we get something working, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I guess the next step is to accept these PRs and hope that the next round of updates with the squash method will be smoother again.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you so much for looking into this. All right, the next thing is we need to update the snapshot controller version. I
Yeah,
think.
I have a PR. Yeah, I
Okay.
just signed it to you. Yeah. You
Sounds
want me to
good.
put that in your
I'll-
Slack, or should be good? I signed that to you.
Oh, I think I can see it then. Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. And
So
then
that's right
the
now. It's
last
just
thing.
so this is right now. It's 3:00. I mean, I don't know if you want
Mhm.
to make this like 3:00. You know, the laters or what? But it's
Oh,
no change,
no.
right? It does not affect it actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to update that. All right.
Okay.
And then the last thing is the CSI proxy build is broken, and Jing is currently investigating that. So that's all our 119 updates. Moving on to 120, we have code freeze in 1 month. So let's go down our items. Looks like Ronak is adding an E2E performance test. I think I had some comments on this one. Unsure if there's a new update or not. I think no update yet, so we'll give that a couple days. Next up is fixing a race condition between the CSI node unstage and delete volume. I think this one needs more discussion in terms of the approach. I guess, is Hamat here? No. But basically, I think there's some concerns that adding a dependency on the node status will cause problems in cases where the node is unhealthy. So I think that's something we need to sort of decide if we want to take this approach or not to handle those cases.
So I have a question about this one. So this is the one that's specific to when you don't have a controller, right? When you just have a node plugin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is for like NFS type
is there a
of.
way to tie together the two?
This is for like NFS type of.
No, I mean it would just be for any kind of a CSI plugin that didn't have controller on publish,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
So like that's correct. So there's a sequence of operations. If you do have controller on publish, there's a sequence of operations where like the node or the delete volume can't proceed until the controller on publish happens. The controller on publish can't proceed until the node on stage happens. And so if those two mechanisms, if they can be tied together, even in the absence of controller on publish, you should still have a working scheme, right?
Yeah, so I think this is basically
Instead
what
of like
the
instead
PR
of
is trying to do.
Okay.
It's trying to take what is currently protecting controller unpublish and node unpublish.
I'm just wondering if you could like fix it by, even if there is no controller on publish, having like a fake call to controller on publish that goes through the motions so that you could still get the same behavior. I don't know, but maybe I just need to look at the PR, but I wanted to throw that out there that like we have a working scheme, and it's just that we're skipping one of the steps. So if we can put that step back in, it would continue to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would basically require sort of redoing the skip attach implementation.
Okay,
Because
well,
right now,
I've
the
never
skip
actually looked at
attach
that, so I don't know what's involved.
just skips creating and deleting the volume attachment object.
Oh, there's not even an object. I see. Okay, that explains it then. So yeah, you would need to basically create fake attachment objects that would have no controller associated with them, or no CSI implementation.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, we'll have to think about it. But yeah, this is, I think, tricky because I think this fix will make some cases not easily recoverable.
Right. Right. Okay. So who was taking lead on fixing this?
Currently, Psychot is looking at the fix, and Jing is
Okay.
reviewing it. I've also
Okay.
asked Hamant to help take a look.
Okay. You can have me as a reviewer. I mean, I'm interested, but yeah,
Okay, sounds
I
good.
don't know Psychot.
I'll CC you on it. All right, moving on, the next change, do not save volume directory, or do not remove volume directory when save volume data fails. I think Hamant was taking a look at this. I'll have to follow up with him. And then this one, don't assume directories have to be mount points in the cleanup orphan pod directories function. I've asked Jing to take a look at this one. I'll ping her again. And then there's also this one, ignore, also related to not assuming directories or mount points during node stage. Go look at this. Is there any outstanding issue that we need to resolve? Looks like we want Hamant's input on stuff, so I'll go ahead and follow up with him. All right, moving on to features. Next, we have volume permission handling. I guess Hamant isn't here, but maybe Christian, can you give an update on your part?
Yes, I've been working on an end-to-end test. I have it largely working using the CSI mock driver and exec, so I can create a file and verify that the FS script should be modified or not. The issue that I'm running into now is that the pods are not torn down at the end of the test. They appear to be terminating forever, so I'm investigating that.
Okay, sounds good. Jan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, for the FS group thing, like the enhancement has been merged, and that's probably all we could do in this release. We can talk to Hemant, but I think he's pretty busy right now, and I'm not sure we can do the implementation. So if you know somebody,
I guess, yeah. So I think I volunteered Matt from my team to help implement things so that we can bring the skip recursive ownership to beta. So I think, yeah, we'll have to follow up on exactly what is all the work that's needed to be done to bring that piece to beta.
Okay.
All right. Next up is volume snapshots.
Yeah, I will meet with Xiangjian today just to make sure that I have everything needed for the phase 2 thing. Basically, he says we don't really need to make any changes to the webhook. So this is really just API changes and the changes in the schema itself. So I've made that change. So just to take a look with him. And then after that, I want to schedule a review meeting with Tim.
Okay.
To see if, what are, hopefully there's no new things, because we're not really changing any API itself. Yeah, and then so for the E2 test, so we got a few more owners. So I think other than validation webhook, I think Xiangqian says he is trying to find someone, but he has not identified anyone yet. But the rest of them, we at least have owners for those E2 tests.
Okay.
I see that the Grant is there. Grant, how are you doing with the metrics work?
I started on the implementation. I'm hoping to have a PR open this week or next week.
Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, Grant is implementing metrics and also the E3 test for metrics. So yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. Next up, we have data populators.
Yeah, I'm still updating the CAP PR, and there was some folks from Google reached out to me who are interested in this feature, and we had a meeting about it and had some interesting discussions. I'm realizing that we might need to just schedule some like open community wide weekly meetings to talk about populators for those who are interested in, to track the ideas and the questions that come up around it. So I don't know, I've never scheduled like a weekly SIG breakout meeting. So if someone can help me figure out how to like do that, I think we might want to do it for the populator stuff. Just because there appears to be, some interest in getting it done.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
For more than just me.
So I can help you with that because I think this is an important one for data protection. So
okay.
We can even do the reviews at the. Can also even do the reviews at the data protection workgroup meeting, but that's bi-weekly. So yeah, we want to schedule additional ones.
I mean, that's also a really big audience. We can put it on the agenda to sort of give people an update and to talk about where we're at. But I don't know. It might be good just to have a weekly meeting that might maybe some weeks we don't talk about anything, but just for people who want to have their finger on the pulse of that feature, we could have a scheduled time to get together.
Okay.
So Xing, I'll follow up with you later today. And see if we can get something like that scheduled. But I'm still working on the CAP PR slowly.
Yeah, sure.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. We'll skip over expansion. Next is volume health.
Yeah, I think that's still in progress. I need to pin folks working on those PRs. I haven't. I think they're working on it, but I haven't seen PR being submitted yet. So yeah, so need to follow up.
Hey Xing, regarding volume health, we have a use case where we might want to use it.
Oh, okay, awesome.
We've already found a potential use case for it.
Oh, this echoing. Sure. Yeah, I'd like to learn the use case. So I haven't started schedule meeting, but I started a. This is. Making me really confused. Okay, so yeah, I started the doc just to capture some of the use cases. I think we probably should build on that. But anyway, then we can maybe we can sync up and then try to see.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to see. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And then next we have storage capacity.
Yeah, no status changes on those, so we can just skip ahead.
Okay, sounds good. I guess a good next step would be to start like populating all the different items that we want to potentially tackle.
Yeah, well, the storage capacity beta and generic ephemeral volumes beta, that is fairly complete, and I have a good understanding of what we want to do. For CSI ephemeral volumes, we pretty much need to clarify the API thing, so it's still tied into the generic ephemeral volumes beta. That's the next step there. And then it probably needs someone who really sits down and does some serious work on the cap, because we're probably not going to get permission to move to GA with the current cap. It's in the old format. It doesn't have any of the information that is expected from a cap today. And quite frankly, it would be nice if someone else could take that job and move that forward. But as I said, we first need to get the API clarified. That's a blocker either way.
Would it be worth it to set up a meeting to discuss the API?
Yeah, probably. I'm just a little bit busy this week, and I will be on vacation next week, so it won't happen in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, that's fine. Just whenever you have a chance, and then we can...
I was contacted on Slack by someone else who has an interest, and he wanted to look at, he was aware of my email, for example, and he wanted to look at the API question. Perhaps he'll have some thoughts to share soon. But either way, I think we need to get a meeting set up, because the attempt to do it via email, that just ended nowhere. I guess it's a good starting point for a live meeting, but I didn't get any other replies. So yeah, a meeting is the way to go.
Okay, sounds good. All right. I guess that's all I have currently tracked for 120. I guess under our to-dos, we also have a bunch of things related to attach and detach. There's various different races and bugs in this area, so I think it would be good to also get some eyes to try to focus on some of these. Some of these, I'm gonna have some people from my team look at it, but I don't think we'll have enough bandwidth to tackle all of it. Any other topics?
Yeah, I would like to discuss my results from trying scale testing with volume provisioning. I've live tweeted that on Slack, basically, as I was running the cluster load to utility to actually generate a higher load on my cluster. And I found that it isn't even my CSI driver which was slowing things down. It was the PV controller. So the first part where it slows down is that it needs to add the provisioner annotation. Without that annotation, the external provisioner doesn't do anything. That's the first part. When I sidestepped that and just immediately created PVCs with that annotation, I got my CSI driver to generate volumes very quickly, and then found that binding those PVs to the PVCs was again slow. And with slow, I mean something like 6 volumes per second in the steady state. And the other issue that I noticed...
I think that's about expected.
Okay. Is there
I think we ran scale tests we ran scale tests on PD driver a couple of months ago, and I believe we also got somewhere within the 3 to 5 volumes per second range.
Is
But yeah, I think definitely, like if we have a need to target faster, then I think we can look into ways we can do that.
So did you track down where exactly it's rate limited? Is it the client go request throttling that kicks in and delays requests to the API server, or is it something else?
We didn't look into. We didn't actually dig into it yet.
We didn't actually.
Okay, so that's probably where I would start looking. I was just wondering whether we already did that. How are the QPS limits chosen in Kube Controller Manager? Do you know? You mentioned on chat that you have seen that with snapshotting. Is it the same settings for everyone, even if they have
Yes.
different needs? Okay.
Yeah. So before, I think in like 1.16 or 1.17, there was a bug, I think, in client Go where it wasn't throttling anything. And then like around the 1.17 or 1.18 timeframe, they actually fixed that bug so that it actually applies a default throttling limit. That ended up causing a bottleneck in the attach controller that we fixed by using informers. But I think that's only for like reading scenarios. In your case, since with provisioning you have to do a bunch of updates or patches, I think if we want to increase the throughput, we would need to actually set some non-default values to be able to go beyond the default.
And it doesn't seem to be possible at the moment. At least I couldn't find anything in the command line arguments for Kube Controller Manager. So yeah, probably we'll need to add something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, the other thing to look into is can we possibly reduce the number of update calls that we do? Because I vaguely remember that PV controller actually makes like 4 updates, at least 4 updates when it binds. So I don't know if we can optimize that at all.
I think that's necessary. You need to update the PV status, PV spec, PVC status, PVC spec for update. I think it still uses update. Maybe it could use patch and reduce some.
Yeah, but
So,
I think that just counts as one request, so it doesn't. I don't think it would change. It might reduce the load, but it will not reduce the request number, and therefore rate limiting will still apply. And in my case, it isn't even that the API server is overloaded. It's not at 100% one of one core even. It could go faster if the controller was sending more requests per second.
I suspect there could be some conflicts in the API server.
No, it's really, the load itself is fine. It's just really not going as fast as it could.
The load could be fine, but I don't know. Maybe different parts of the PV controller are the same object and they conflict on etcd. So they need to redo everything and start from scratch. I don't know.
It would be good if we can get some metrics about like how many errors from the API server is the resource conflicts error. Like if we can get a metric that tells us that and then run the benchmark,
Yeah,
we can see if there's anything we can do there.
I don't think there are any conflicts. I'm just, it's the external provisioner is creating one PV, and then the PV controller needs to update that one resource. There shouldn't be anything that conflicts on the same object. It's just that we have many objects. They all need the same set of updates, and with rate limiting for requests, I guess that's what's slowing down the whole thing.
Well, I do remember seeing like in, some tests and stuff, I do remember seeing error messages from the PV controller saying you can't, the update failed because it conflicted with another resource or with another update. So I think there are some cases where, or races maybe, where you can hit that. And if we can fix those races, then that could reduce the number of updates, retries that we have to do, which will help as well.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's that was the issue in my case, but perhaps there are some other scenarios where that happens. Because I was not even starting pods. I was really just creating PVs. Well, I guess I'll have to look into that a bit more.
So,
The other thing that
so for these scaling tests, are you using like a are you using like a dummy driver that doesn't actually do any work?
I was using PMEMS.
Just the controllers that are bottlenecking.
I was using PMEMS CSI with no actual backend configured. So it basically was just doing in-memory volume creation, which is why very fast.
Okay, I just wanted to validate that. Okay.
Yeah, so it was really just the sidecars and the controllers and not doing any real backend work. It might not be that not such a big deal if you have a real backend which is slow, but I was really trying to figure out what's the best way of handling communication. So I wanted to go as fast as possible with the Kubernetes side. The other thing that I noticed, and I wanted to ask whether that's the expected behavior, is that the external provisioner was creating a large number of PVs that the PV controller then couldn't bind, and the external provisioner started deleting those PVs again, which was a bit surprising.
Weird. That's weird. It should not happen.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if these PVs were in the state where they are, I think, status pending, the way they were created by the external provisioner, and before they got any update, I think they were deleted. So there is a check that a PV is not currently in use, but it's not ready to be deleted. Okay, so that's a bug that I also need to look into. I was thinking that it might have been intentional to detect cases where, for example, theoretically, it could happen that a PVC gets created, a PV gets created, binding never happens, PVC gets deleted, and then you have an orphan PV that someone needs to do something with, because it will never get bound.
That's what PV controller should do, but as long as the PVC is there, it shouldn't just delete PVs. That's wrong.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess the external provisioner can still see that there is a PVC that it should bind to, and this just hadn't happened. So I see what you mean. I can look into that as time permits.
And PVC deletion should be inhibited by the finalizer. So even if you do delete the PVC before it binds, it shouldn't actually go away, right? Or does the finalizer not get applied until binding time?
I think the finalizer is just protecting again. The PVC finalizer is just protecting against deleting a PVC which is in use, which isn't the case here, not yet. And the PV finalizer, that one hasn't been even added yet because the PV controller hasn't looked at the PV.
Okay.
Now that you mentioned the PV finalizer, could be the PV controller racing with the PV protection thing and conflicting on the updates? Could be some easy
Possibly.
target.
Yep. All right. Great investigation. There's a lot of little pieces that that you've been uncovering. So if you can, just open up issues for all of them so that we can track them all. But yeah, these are good finds.
Okay. Yep, I will. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other topics? All right, then we'll end for today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.